All right, so we've done our spotlights, directionals, all these cool things. You might have a instance. Let me shut this one off because the more lights you have, guess what? The longer it takes to render. So I can get these exactly the way I want them, turn them off, and then I can turn them all back on when I'm ready for my final render, or at least when I have them all set. So I'm going to pause that, and I'm actually going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to create a light source. And let's say this shed is fancy schmancy and it has um, let's say it has an actual neon light in the front. Okay, so I could do that a few ways. I could do text. I could have an object that I model that could be literally a light bulb. Um, so it could be whatever the mesh is. So if I go in, let's just create something simple. So I'm going to go and create a polygonal torus. Scale that up, big donut. And we're going to rotate you around. Okay, a little too big. So I'm going to shrink you down. And then I'm going to go to its properties and I'm going to cut down the radius. Say like a 0.1, maybe something like that. Okay. And maybe I'll just pull that out. Maybe it's hanging like in front of there. May just have a neon sign of some sort. And this, let's say this is my light source, okay? So I can select this guy, and then if we just do a render, you'll see it's just a ring that's floating there. Let's pause that. And I'm gonna, with it selected, I'm gonna go and tell it that we want it to be a mesh light. And when I turn that on, it disappeared. We see the shadow, but we don't see the actual object. But we do have now light properties of that mesh light. So I can increase the exposure. Now, what you'll notice is I don't see anything yet because I have to still keep on. Oh, let's see what 15 looks like. And I see it illuminating, but you'll notice that the mesh is not visible. We're just seeing the effect of its lighting. If I want the mesh to actually be visible as well, I would say light visible, and then that actually makes it. And the reason that is that sometimes you have a very particular light shape, and you just want to get the effect of the light, but you don't necessarily want that mesh to be illuminated. So you have to kind of decide which one you want. But the cool part is then I can just go in and just say, oh, I want this to be, like a neon sign here. And we could see it illuminating. Or I could choose a different temperature if I wanted that. I can do the same thing with the intensity samples. I can show the original mesh in the view if I wanted to. So you'd see it in here instead of just a little mesh highlight. If I click away, you see this. I can increase the diffuse of it. Really crank that puppy out there. Now this one, once again, if I really want to get control over how far it's illuminating, because neon typically is not going to illuminate a long area, but if I really want to get it's some sort of magic crystal or it's something that's not neon, it's some sort of other light source that I'm using a mesh for, that's where I would actually go in and add that that AI light decay and put that in there. and then I could have it light up a much larger area and control it a lot more. But it's a pretty powerful tool. You can do some really sweet stuff with it. I wouldn't go nuts with it, like, oh my gosh, I have like 50 lights and I'm gonna make them all mesh lights, because it might be a bit expensive in doing that. So, and you want to try and light your scene with as few lights as possible. But just wanted to show you that. It's a pretty cool thing. And the last thing I just wanted to spend a little time on was the Sky Dome.